Oh, right. Then we come to the next one, which is the most difficult one. Patience. Still on page 11. And there again, you know, you can ask the question, when is it patience and when is it fear of reacting? So all of these teachings, actually, you can use them just as an excuse not to do anything. You say, oh no, I'm practicing patience, or you know, you let others walk over you, or you let them abuse you. You're not doing anything. So again, this is what makes it so complicated, the whole thing. And this is why contact with groups and teachers is really important, because otherwise you kind of your neuroses, instead of them decreasing, they actually increase. You know, like for example, if somebody thinks I'm no good and I don't deserve to be happy, and bodhicitta is perfect for them. Yeah, I knew I was no good and I don't deserve to be happy. Let everybody else go and have happiness first. So of course, if that makes you happy, then that's fine. It should make you happy. Like a mother who sees that the child eats the last piece of food that you had decided actually wanted it, but you give it to the child. You don't suffer, do you? No. So a little bit like this. So there is, and nobody can tell you when is it fear and when is it patience. Only you. You're the only one. Yeah, and as I said with patience, usually it is, if you think it helps your practice, making your mind stronger to endure things. Like patience is to be able to endure the unbearable, or to bear the unbearable calmly. And for that, you do need a view why this is happening now. And again, please don't go to abuse. It's far too high. It's far too big. You know, why is this person shouting at me now? We need to have a view. And then when we see our own part in it, then maybe the anger dies down a bit. So patience is the opposite from anger, because anger in it has a wish to harm. Sometimes we don't feel the wish, but we definitely, when you're angry at somebody, you don't want them to be happy. And this you can know, this you can measure yourself, that when you hold a grudge against somebody, or you're angry at somebody, and then somebody comes and says, wow, somebody comes and says, wow, this person is so successful, and you know, they're such nice people, and in your heart, is there a problem?
Translation.
No? Oh, translation. Oh, okay. And it's clear? It's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
even though by the explanation you gave me, I don't understand why patience is the opposite of anger.
Of anger. Because anger is a wish to harm. I haven't finished the sentence yet, so it's not a translation problem. Because I'm still wait. I'm still explaining anger. This is what I'm doing. Anger always has this wish to harm, or at least the person not to be happy. We wouldn't be very happy when we hear that somebody, you know, you can see when you get upset when somebody's praising somebody else. That means you're angry at that person. It's as simple as that. They don't deserve it. So that's anger. Now, and it has in it has an arrow, has a wish to harm. And you know, our rational mind says, yeah, I'm going to harm them. Then they will understand something. Then they're punished. Then they will change. Then they will transform. Patience is a mind who, at all costs, does not want to harm. That's why it's the opposite. Yeah. Anger wants to harm. Patience says, whatever happens, I'm not going to harm. Not to harm myself. How do we harm ourselves? Huh? How do we harm ourselves? Huh?
By creating negative...
No, but you know, when we're not patient, how do we harm ourselves?
Criticizing. We say things that we regret later.
rehashing the same story again and again and again, picking up the arrow that actually, the arrow is out. Maybe it went in at one point, but now the arrow is out. It's lying, and we don't throw it away. We leave it here, and then at night when we can't sleep, we pick it up and say, wow, yes it hurts. Wow, yes it hurts. Wow, yes it hurts. Yeah, this is how we harm ourselves. Now, if you want to rehash your story, that's fine, because it's good to talk about it. It's necessary, needs to come out. But then if you want to repeat the story, always go to the same person who does not react, who just listens. You will feel bored very, very quickly, actually. And that's the best way of helping somebody who always comes with complaining about something. Just say yes. Yes, I understand. Yes, this is difficult. But with your heart, not just, not being somewhere else. Really listen. It's so healing. And all of a sudden, the need to because the ego needs to be reaffirmed that this is difficult. So it can let go. Somebody has understood, I suffered, or I suffered. Then we can let go. Otherwise, we can't let go. Then we get depressed and everybody sees how bad we are and all these kinds of things. So that's how we harm ourselves. To ourselves, rehashing the story again and again and again and again. That's like picking up the arrow. Yeah. If somebody is aggressive with you, you don't have to take the aggression. Like the story of the Buddha, when a merchant came home from a long trip, and then he had brought a lot of presents, but the Buddha was in that area, so he came home full of joy to give these presents to the kids and to the wife. And so first the kid said, no, the Buddha is here, we're going to listen to him. His wife, no, I'll look at it later, I'm going to listen to the Buddha. The servant who was supposed to give him a bath, oh, no, I don't have time, I'm going to listen to the Buddha. So he's angry. So he went to the Buddha. In the middle of his talk, he just came there, and he said, you Buddha, you stole my family, you are bad, blah, 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 blah. And the Buddha just sat there. And then all of a sudden the merchant says, why don't you respond? Why aren't you angry? And he said, merchant, if somebody wants to give you a gift and you refuse to take the gift, to whom does the gift belong? Well, still to me. So if I don't take your anger, I don't need to take it. I do not need to take it. But the moment I react, or the moment I lock up, I have taken it. I have received the wonderful gift. And then patience is like, I'm not going to say anything. It's not like that. Patience is a very relaxed mind who knows exactly, I don't want to harm. Now, this need to be heard, this need that to tell your own side of the story, this one you kind of start to shut up. Yeah. But we have this need when somebody's angry at us to explain and all this, or when somebody may hurt us, this need to say, well, there's no point, there's no point. Or when when you receive a message that most probably you misunderstand the whole thing, it was just a joke, you took it seriously, and then I also, yesterday when I said, sorry, the chocolates are only for the ones for the precepts, that was a joke. I didn't mean it. Yeah? Sorry, I thought you understood that this is a joke. Nobody's controlling up there who eats what. Yeah, just in case. And I said, because some people have problems with food or on a diet, and then we put all this. So I said we could ration it, and 2 cookies for every day, and then you get a stamp on your hand. I meant it as a joke. I didn't mean it seriously. Anyway, so not harming ourselves by constantly rehashing it, not taking the anger or the aggression of the other, especially if it's just words. When we hear the word idiot, what does it do to you right now?
Nothing.
Huh? Nothing. When you made a mistake, and I look at you and say, you idiot! The same word. When there's somebody that you dislike, makes a mistake, somebody else comes and says, you idiot! It's three totally different reactions to the same word. And we think it's right. We think it's logic. Of course I react like this. Yeah, the same word. There we, with words, there we really take the arrow and put it in again and again and again and again. Yeah. If somebody tells me you have a big nose, it's true, I have a big nose. If somebody tells me you have horns, I can feel hurt about this, but I don't have horns, so why get upset? If we want to train on the spiritual path, it's most likely that the aggressive people have the courage to tell us what is really there. Not our friends. They don't have the courage. They're afraid because we might start to dislike them. Have you ever, never please ask me what you honestly think about me. I don't have the courage to tell you. I don't.
Why? Maybe it's only compliments.
Because, if you understand what I mean. Again, it's kind of, yeah. Because I don't know if it will destroy the person. I have no clue. You see, a Buddha would know whether this is helpful now and the person has to hear it. We always think they have to hear it. So I'm very careful with that. Because, and as a psychotherapist, I think you know that also. That to some people you cannot tell them what you see, otherwise it would destroy them. First you have to build them up, so I don't have the time to build you up. So, and also I don't know how to build you up. So please don't ask me what I honestly think about you. Yeah? Make up your own mind what you think you are. If you want to know what other people think of you, the best would be, some people are still here, who know you well. You went to the toilet, but they don't know that you're still there, and they start talking about you. Then you know what people think about you, honestly. But please never do this, because you would feel terribly embarrassed when you see the person is coming out from there and they heard what you said. So we can protect ourselves also from feeling embarrassed by not gossiping about others. Yeah, like that. Okay? Is that clear with patience? So you practice patience in the face of difficult conditions. Here, windows, light, air conditioners. As long as it doesn't harm your practice, as long as you, as I said, as long as you don't have this huge aversion towards the window is open or closed, and you just cannot dissolve it, then you go talk about it. But you see it as a training, so you need open or closed windows, or air conditioners up and down, or whatever, on and off. You need it. You do need it.
I practice patience.
Because you're cold?
No, because I have been doing.
Aha. So, well, I'm not sure if it helped. Anyway, so this is how we start to practice. When we feel I can extend.
I think the problem is that people, because Ani Losang asked, is it okay if you turn off the air conditioning? And here people react, and this is not a good practice. Because we said at the opening talk, I'm the only person who opens and shuts.
Yeah, so if you want to do something...
It's not a nice position, but this is how the
it's a horrible
description, it's like the course
it's a horrible position. It's a position where you can make so many people angry without actually doing anything.
Yeah, but then people come and tell me, I'm too hot, I'm too cold, I want windows open, I want windows closed, and I try to make some average.
Yeah.
But then people just...
Well, we said at the beginning, the air conditioners at the back, they're open. So people who were penguins in their last life, please sit at the back. They want cold. People who have a problem with cold,
The back is open.
yeah, towards the back. It's cooler
Back
than
is
towards the
cold,
front.
The middle is medium. This is what I said in the beginning. The front is shut. And the open windows is something else that people talk about.
Is that just destroy the air conditioner when we use the air conditioner and open the window?
Either open
So if you
windows
decide-
or
I can shut the air conditioner.
I think I can relax a little bit. Sorted that one out.
I think the people who are worried about air conditioning are
That's a
more
good point.
worried about
That's the reason we can close.
Please have some compassion. compassion for Giddy because it is really a very unpleasant situation to be in. I'm always happy then when I say, I'm so happy nobody gave me that air conditioned thing because it's so difficult. It is so difficult. Okay? So, and you see, when we did the 3 months Vajrasattva retreat, this is how it starts. Light on, light off, like it. Rules. Somebody who makes the morning motivation, only 10 minutes. The windows open from 9 to 10, la la la. So I let them make all the rules so that everybody could be happy. After 2 weeks, they understood. You can make as many rules as you want. It will not work. And you practice patience. If you don't get what you want. So it's a very good it was a very good exercise for them to just let them, that one wants this, okay, do it. That one wants this, okay, do it. That one wants that, okay, do it. After 2 weeks, they stopped. Yeah? And now, of course, you have a very good argument, so that needs to come out. But it's silly to have air conditioning and windows open, is it? Yeah? Yeah? Because my argument is right. I'm just using it as an example. I'm not saying it's not right. Because everybody's argument for doing it like this has some validity. That is the thing. Yeah. Anyway, so the best thing would be, everybody who participates in the course and comes regularly, they have to be manager. Because then they understand how difficult this is. Yeah. Okay, so that's the lowest, or that's the most easiest patients to practice with, like weather, flies, Norway people, just with it's hot, it's cold, you're not adjusting all the time, sweater on, sweater off, air conditioned on, air conditioned off. You will stay and you say, okay, can I bear this? Maybe while bearing this, it's too hot. Yes, it's too hot. But maybe while bearing this, then there's a lot of advantages of bearing it. I purify rebirth in the hells because I'm too hot. If it's not on, I am saving the environment. I train my body to adjust to temperature because that's what we do. We take away the ability of the body to adjust to temperature, and it's amazing how, especially in this country, where you have all the air conditioning, all this, people cannot bear the heat, although you are surrounded by heat. If European people come here, because we're not used to air conditioners, we don't have them yet. We might need them also in the future, I don't know. But then when it's hot here, they're happy. So again, the heat is not out there, whether it's pleasant or not pleasant. Because European people, when they come here, they pay money for the heat, yeah? And in their country, it's wet and cold. Maybe you go there, and then you're happy when it's wet and cold, and they are unhappy when it's wet and cold, yeah? Now, I see this where I have a problem is in the winter, because I am used to perfect temperature in the winter. And I suffer when there is not perfect temperature in another country where they don't have this good heating system. So please understand, I'm not criticizing you because I'm doing exactly the same thing, but the other way around. I'm always too cold. But I do see that's in the mind. So then instead of kind of turning it up, I move a bit, and then also I can warm myself up. But anyway, so in the face of difficult conditions, patience of when we are being harmed, yeah, that we. Okay, I've been harmed by this person now, I don't want to harm back. Because this is how we break this cycle of victim, aggressor, victim, aggressor, victim, aggressor. Because every time you aggress back with anger, even though you think is right, your karmic imprint or your karmic potential, the karmic forces to create the same situation again, or somebody being aggressive at you, is formed. So one can practice patience long term by thinking, oops, if I say something now, what will happen? Okay? Even, if you're very angry and you always see the result of it, that people turn away from you. People don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. You cannot enjoy anything when you're angry. The best food becomes totally tasteless when you're angry or even disgusting. Have you ever tried to give somebody who's angry their favorite cake at that moment when they're angry, in order to calm them down? Have you ever tried?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much is okay. Usually, much. I don't like this. Why? Because anger cannot see any beauty. Nowhere. When anger is present, everything becomes disgusting. And this disgust needs to come out something because it gives you a lot of energy. So the energy goes either inside, where we then start eating ourselves up, or it goes out. Neither one is good. Okay? At least exploding anger, then if I'm in front of an exploding person, I know, oops, she or he is angry, I better get out of their way. If it's imploding, I never know, are they now really friendly? Because you can feel it. You know, even they have a smiley face, but inside you feel that something is not right there. So, yeah. Yes.
So if someone is angry at you, and you feel the anger inside, but you don't want to continue the will, isn't it still anger? Like, it's
Yeah, but you,
inside, but
okay, how is a karmic imprint created?
in action. But the
And action and
intention, object.
and completion. So if you're angry, do you have an action? Do you have an object that feels it? Do you have a completion there? It still creates tendencies, that is true, but it doesn't create the complete karmic seed, because a lot of it is missing. 3 factors are missing. You just have the delusion. Yeah.
What about anger against myself?
Yeah, no good either.
But
Then you have to look, where does it come from? Comes from arrogance, wanting to be perfect, having no compassion towards oneself when one gets angry.
what about imprints or
Huh?
relating to imprints, negative imprints?
Yeah.
It's the same. If I say to myself, you idiot.
It depends how you say it. Do you say it with anger? It's, you know, not every strong energy is anger. Anger is the wish to harm. Anger is the person wanting the person not to be happy. So with ourselves, there's not much danger. We still want to be happy. You see a person that you're angry at, for example, that you insulted me or something, then I get angry at you. I freeze that person into that moment, and I don't want him to be happy or whatever. Me, you know, I get angry at myself, I'm frustrated. 2 minutes later, I go and eat some chips to reward myself. I would never give him chips if I'm angry at him, voluntarily. Do you see what I mean? So it's very destructive, but it's not as solid as it is to outside people. If it's not kind of pathological or whatever. Again, this is a psychological question that it would be better if a psychologist would answer it than me. Because that's not even in the scriptures nowhere about anger towards oneself. But it's very present here in the West.
But anger or not, it's definitely not being patient with myself.
Yeah.
If I want to keep a stable mind, whatever challenge I need, and the minute something I do wrong, I'm getting upset with myself, I don't have a patient mind at that moment. So I have something to work on.
Yeah. You see, the antidote for anger is patience. It's not love. Love is too big. It's too far away. First, not to react. And actually an antidote to every negative emotion is pausing. Getting away from the object. And even the object is still here. You can still get away from it by going inside. How do I feel? How do I look? You know, not why am I angry, that's not, but what's going on now? Because why you're angry, that is finished, that is past. But how do I look? How do I feel? And then the object is gone. You've changed your object, you've changed your mind state, you've come out of the anger, you make the anger the object that you're looking at, not the outside object. and your mind of awareness is functioning, and that mind is neutral. You're not getting swept away. The anger is still there. Yeah. The next step, you have slogans ready when you feel that you have a problem with anger, like, yeah, how do I look? Something that helps you calm down. Then you change perspective. That's the third step. You think like, what will happen to the other person if I'm angry at them, or how do they feel, or what's their position? Yeah. Then, the fourth step, you dissolve it into its nature. You go and look for the anger, to find it. And you see, all there is dynamic moving. If you're not looking at your negative emotions, they seem as solid as a brick. If you start looking at them, they dissolve into emptiness. Then you see what's happening. It's just dynamic kind of things going on. Yeah? The fifth step, when you can do these 4 steps, you go and expose yourself to difficult situations so that you can practice patience. And as you go along with practices, you get better and better and better at it. Now, if you run away every time, or if you kind of switch on or switch off or every time, how can you become stronger in patience? You see, this is what we do. We read patience, yes, very nice. But then with everything or with everybody that we could practice patience, we run away. So then again, there's this conflict, yeah? The conflict of wanting to be generous, but then giving as little as possible. How can you be happy about this? If you want to practice generosity, you have to do it, yeah? If you want to practice ethical conduct, then also you have to abstain from harming others. If you want to practice patience, then you have to have difficult situations. So you see, these practices of a bodhisattva that one needs to practice in order to attain enlightenment, we need other people to be able to do that. If you're alone in your cave somewhere, how are you going to practice patience with the birds that make too much noise? But it's really interesting to see. I had in Tushita, I had a neighbor for 3 years. So the first sound in the morning was then the door, bang, and then over the railing. And then cooking, because it's like here, you can hear everything that happens in the other room. It's the same situation. Making noise and this and that, and always a real nutnik. I mean, it's like, always wanting things. You're in a Buddhist community, of course you get them, because people are compassionate. Always saying, nobody ever helps me, nobody ever gives me everything. Look at you, everybody helps you, whoa, everybody likes you. It's like, wow. I'm so grateful to her. I had 3 years to be able to take it, and it's just sound. So how I discovered it, because I started retreat. She knew I was starting retreat. She knew I was in silence. For her, it's like she comes, knocks on the door. Hey, I need some, like this. So, and usually she only got up about 8 o'clock. So I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she starts to cook. At 4 o'clock in the morning. I was convinced she was doing it on purpose. That was what my mind is saying. I was so angry. It was like maybe 2 years into my practice. I was so angry. I took all my things, the cushion and the text. I went down to the Vajrasattva Gompa. So I started, it's nice and quiet. Then the monkeys started jumping on the roof. And it was monsoon, so a thunderstorm kind of happened. And I didn't get upset. And then I thought, oi, what is happening here? I get upset up there. The noise is even stronger, and I'm not getting upset. Why? Because I have no control over the monkeys, nor over the thing. Where's the problem coming from? Coming from thinking that she's doing it on purpose. That's why we get angry, because we think people have a choice. They don't. I took my things, I went back up, problem solved.
She's doing it to you.
Huh?
She's doing it to you.
Yeah, I thought she is getting up this morning.